Today is February 25th. It's the 56th day of the year. This is the On This Day podcast. If you've been listening since the very first day, some of this may sound a little familiar to you. If you've joined after that, it'll all be new. Either way, I hope you enjoyed today's show. Brand spanking new episodes coming very soon. It's 1942. The Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor less than 3 months ago. Americans are still coming to terms with the feeling of vulnerability in the wake of the surprise attack on their homeland. Several Japanese submarines have been patrolling the waters off the west coast since that day in December 1941. Rumors of more bombings are carried up and down the Pacific coast. On February 19th, President Roosevelt issues Executive Order 9066, authorizing the Secretary of War to designate military areas and exclude any and all persons from them. And 2 nights ago, on February 23rd, a Japanese submarine attacks the Elwood oil field on the California coast near Santa Barbara. After the attack, the submarine is seen flashing what appears to be a signal light towards the shore, leading local residents to believe there are Japanese saboteurs in their midst. It's not too long after this that the internment of Japanese Americans begins, courtesy of that executive order Roosevelt signs a few days before. Americans, particularly those on the West Coast, and particularly those in Southern California, fear that a Japanese invasion is imminent, and everyone is on high alert. In the early morning hours on this day in 1942, sometime around 1:44 in the morning, an unidentified target is spotted 120 miles off the coast, flying on a heading for Los Angeles. Anti-aircraft gunners in the area are put on alert, and a blackout is ordered. By 2:30 in the morning, as air raid wardens patrol the neighborhoods of Southern California enforcing the blackout, the still unidentified target is within 3 miles of Los Angeles and closing. Searchlights light up the sky, air raid sirens wail, and the anti-aircraft gunners open up, filling the skies above the beaches of Los Angeles County with thousands of shells from their 37mm cannons and 50 caliber machine guns. 9 searchlights converge on an object in the sky over Culver City. The object appears to have flown inland over Santa Monica, heading to Culver City, where it turns south. Eyewitnesses on the ground watch as the object heads down over El Segundo and Torrance before turning east along the coastline over San Pedro and Long Beach, and then disappearing. The anti-aircraft guns blast away into the night sky for an hour. No one could sleep through that racket. Surely the entire city is awake in the middle of the night and looking up into the sky. Nonetheless, no one can figure out what it is that's flying overhead, slowly zigzagging through the skies of Los Angeles. There are reports of a single plane. Some people report seeing a formation of planes, a dozen aircraft flying in a V formation. Some people see a balloon, others see a dirigible, and some people look up into the searchlights and see nothing. Later on in the day, the Secretary of the Navy, Frank Knox, announces that it is a false alarm. Knox chalks it up to jittery nerves. Basically, someone thought they saw something, and the whole city started shooting at phantoms. Of course, as soon as the federal government says, "Nothing to see here, move along," out come the conspiracy theorists. At the time, people think there's something they're not being told, that there's a cover-up, or it's a false flag operation to instill fear in Americans and scare them into giving up their rights in the run-up to the war. And a photograph that appears the next day in the Los Angeles Times of those 9 searchlights converging in the sky over Culver City is later held up as evidence of a UFO. I mean, technically it is an unidentified flying object, but a UFO in the sense of aliens. So what is the object? It's possible it's a runaway weather balloon, That's what a military historian theorizes in 1983. But we'll never know for sure what the unidentified object is that flies through the skies over Los Angeles and starts what is known as the Battle of Los Angeles in the early morning hours on this day in 1942. Born on this day in 1913, actor Jim Backus. Backus is born James Gilmore Backus in Cleveland, Ohio. Jim Backus is one of those actors with a list of credits longer than I am tall, and I'm 5'11". Roles as diverse as the henpecked husband in Rebel Without a Cause, who is a disappointment to the son he cares deeply for, played by James Dean. And the voice of the myopic Mr. Magoo, the nearsighted cartoon character who gets into one comic predicament after another due to his refusal to acknowledge that he is blind as a bat. But the role I first came to know and love Jim Backus as is Thurston Howell III on Gilligan's Island, the multimillionaire who with his wife Lovey have brought suitcases full of dresses and dinner jackets with them on what is supposed to be a 3-hour boat tour. In 2006, Forbes magazine estimates Thurston Howell III's net worth at $2.7 billion. Many years ago, I was challenged with connecting Jim Backus to Kevin Bacon in a game of 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. And that goes Jim Backus to Natalie Wood in Rebel Without a Cause, Natalie Wood to Rita Moreno in West Side Story, Rita Moreno to Alan Alda in The Four Seasons, Alan Alda to John Candy in that great opus of cinema Canadian Bacon, and John Candy to Kevin Bacon in JFK. There are 310 days left in the year.